So today we have a call on a couple ACs not working. This is one of my locations out in La Quinta, California, so it's nice and warm. It's currently, I think, like the beginning of May, like the 8th maybe or something. So it's already starting to get hot out here. I think the current temperature, I haven't measured it yet, but it's probably about 95, 98 so far. Probably get hotter throughout the day. This is definitely the first heat for us, these first couple weeks of heat. So we're getting a lot of AC calls, especially out in this area. So their complaint is that they have two ACs, that the thermostats are blank, and they've got just heat complaints all over the restaurant. I already know that there's more problems from the last time we did their PM about 3 months ago. I noted a couple ACs, actually like 3 or 4 ACs that had issues. So I just reminded them, and they wanted me to go ahead and look at everything. The first thing, this is the AC right here, AC number 5. This is for their kitchen area / office. When I first came up here though, they've got like a little split system that feeds part of their kitchen too, and the suction line was all frosted up. So I have a feeling that unit's iced up. I know that that unit has some major airflow issues because it was never installed correctly. For now, I just pulled the disconnect for that unit just to let it defrost, so that way the evaporator's running, defrost that coil. And I'm gonna jump on this kitchen AC because that's for their office and they're needing that first. So we're gonna get into it and see what happens. So I've got the control section opened up. This restaurant uses an EMS system, energy management. So the first thing we're gonna check is line voltage coming into the unit from the disconnect switch to see if we have 3-phase power. And then after that, we'll check low voltage. So let's go ahead and see what we can figure out here. Okay. 206. To 11, 207. So we've got 3-phase voltage coming in, so we're good there. Then we could just go over here to this low voltage terminal strip and check to see what's going on here. So the complaint is that they have a blank thermostat. So R to C gets me 26 volts. Well, and we've got a blank thermostat, so that already tells me that we've got a bad thermostat. I'll just check C to everything else. There's nothing else going on. So right off the bat, yeah, it's 0 volts. So R to C, we have 24 volts, and then everything else is dead. So this sends voltage down to that thermostat, but the thermostat is controlled by the computer system in the cloud. So that thermostat not having a display means that we've got a bad thermostat. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and jump it out and then test the unit out and see how it works. So I went ahead and put a couple jumpers. This carrier board you can grab R off of over here, so it's just a little bit easier, but I jumped R to G and R to Y1, and our system's running, contactors are pulled in. So dead giveaway, we have a bad thermostat. I'm still gonna go ahead and gauge up just to check the rest of the unit because I'm looking at the big picture. I'm not just having tunnel vision and stopping at the thermostat. We're gonna solve the whole problem. You know, whether or not there's other issues or not, we'll find out, but we're gonna look. And this is exactly why I say we're gonna look at the big picture. Look at that belt. And that blower wheel's hammered too. That blower wheel needs to be taken out and cleaned. But we got a loose belt. So if we just condemned the thermostat and came out to change the thermostat, we wouldn't know everything that was going on. You always have to look at the big picture. These customers will appreciate that more so, especially on a facilities level. They will appreciate it because they don't want to keep paying you to come back out here to do stupid stuff. So I went and pulled the belt off. Don't know how well you guys can see that, but that thing is pretty caked up with goo and stuff. Hopefully it didn't mess up the balance of the blower wheel. So when I clean it, I'm hoping the thing don't rattle like crazy. Sometimes that can happen if the thing runs with a dirty blower wheel for a really long time. It'll actually balance itself out because of the weight. And then you'll go and clean the blower wheel, and then the thing will need a new blower wheel because it's out of balance. The other thing I noticed is this pulley's pretty glazed over, and it's starting to go bad. Pulley, sheave, whatever you want to call it. I know there's always a battle there to call it a pulley or a sheave. I know the correct way is it's an adjustable sheave, but I call it a motor pulley, and I call this the drive pulley. There's all kinds of different ways that people refer to them. Some people call this the drive pulley, some people call this the driven pulley. I call this the motor pulley, I call this the drive pulley. So we're gonna need to get a new pulley for this guy, and then we're gonna need to pull that blower assembly and clean it and get a new thermostat for it. Really not that hard to pull these blower assemblies. Maybe 15 screws, you know, you just gotta think about it for a sec. Got this thing pulled out. Just gonna go ahead and rinse this guy real quick. This one's not too bad. You get to it soon, you can fix these problems, but this will definitely cause airflow issues for sure. Again, our main problem is a bad thermostat, but we want to fix this AC. We want to fix the complete picture. So we're going to hose this guy off, get it cleaned out, put it back in. Got to be careful too, because this is a downshot AC. There's a bunch of junk from the blower assembly blowing the crap down on the heat exchanger. So when I pressurize this thing, it's going to have more airflow than usual, and we potentially are going to blow lint out of all the AC ducts. So what we'll do, because it's a downshot, we'll take that panel off and put it on the supply duct going downstairs, turn it on and blow the crap out of the AC before we turn it on into the ductwork. I'm gonna use some coil cleaner on this blower assembly to get the hard caked on lint and stuff that's in there off. A couple things you want to be cautious about. This is one of those plastic roofs. A lot of times they don't want this coil cleaner on the roof, so you got to make sure you're minimal on your concentration and make sure you rinse it down as best as you can. There's only so much you can do. Also be cautious about, you know, getting coil cleaner inside the bearings. I don't know what that would do to the bearing, but you necessarily don't want it to penetrate inside of them. So I'm going to take it easy around the bearings, but I'm just going to blast the whole inside of the case, let it sit for a minute, then rinse it all off. Just using a Calgon coil gun with some New Bright condenser coil cleaner. You know, I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes, and then we'll give it a good rinse, and then we'll try to wash all that stuff down the drain as best as possible. It's already doing a good job of knocking some of that stuff off. So another thing to remember is this isn't going to be perfect. So also pay attention to what rinses out. These blower wheels have weights on them. Usually they look like fancy paper clips. I don't know if you can see these right here. It's kind of hard, but there's a weight back there. Turn it around and let you see one over here. That right there is a weight, and you want to be careful we don't wash those off. I've got the blower assembly done, and what I did was actually took the nozzle off my hose. I rinsed down the roof, and then I'm letting that water kind of flood so it dilutes the puddle that I can't really wash. So I'm just kind of letting it, you know, mix with that big puddle. Unfortunately, the way this roof is sloped, it has a hard time, and you get a big standing puddle over here. So we're just gonna let the water run and kind of dilute it down and run it into the drain. Pulled the supply access panel off and then positioned it over the supply hole. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna brush the heat exchanger off down in here. Just brush this big old chunkers off if I can. It's gonna be hard. And then that way it'll just blow out of the unit, hopefully, and not down into their kitchen. This is gonna, I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. It's another one of those polish in a turd things. So we'll go from there. Blower assembly turned out good. Nice and clean. As clean as it can be. Much better. So that's nice. So I'm gonna brush this thing off. I'll probably grab my vacuum real quick, vacuum out, and then start the blower assembly up. The blower assembly back in, the motor's mounted. I gotta figure out these wires. These things had these zip ties that had these little plastic automotive connectors that push through and grab. And I couldn't really get them out very well. I was only able to get one out, and that's this one. So I popped that one back in. But I'm gonna show you how I fix these. So if you cautiously take these things apart, just cut the zip tie, right? Push the old piece through, clip off the excess, and now you can run a new zip tie right through that little clip, and it still has the connector on it. Then you could still have your connection setup going on. Everything can be nice and snug, no problems. So back on. You don't want to run it for too long because the motor's probably overloaded right now, but now it's blowing out like it should be. So I got a new pulley on this one. Look at that. Definitely bad. The last thing I did was I installed a temporary thermostat. I pulled off all the old thermostat wires for the EMS system, energy management, and installed just a cheapy thermostat and dropped it down in the return temporarily. So that way they can have an AC. I secured the wires. Walk around here. Look down in there, okay? This is just a throwaway stat until they can get a corporate approval. I basically have it set in cooling for 74 degrees and have the fan in the on position all the time, so it's going to run its little heart away. That way we can have a temporary solution so they don't have to go without an AC until the energy management company gets the new one out here. Turn this guy on.